Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So this is part 4 video on NestJS, ReactJS, MongoDB, CRUD sample example. Now our main focus is on to implement the read operation, means creating the new item. For that we require both ReactJS and NestJS. Okay, so first let's try to implement the endpoint in our NestJS application, that is nothing but HTTP post endpoint. Okay, so first in our employee service, let's write a logic for saving a new record into the MongoDB. Okay, so for that in the service, let me create a new method like async create. Okay, and this method should contain our employee data as my payload, right? Now what I have to do means I have to make this normal payload as a document type. Okay, so constant new employee new this dot employee model dot employee model and open braces. To that braces I can pass the my employee data as a document data. Okay, so now this model will create a instance of the employee model. Now with this instance, I can call a method like save. Okay, so here we are creating the instance, right? Using the employee model and using our payload. So it should be awaited. Okay, that's it. So if we invoke this method, our payload gets saved into the MongoDB. Now let's implement the HTTP post action method in our employee controller. So go to our employee controller. Okay. So I will write method like async create. Okay. And it should be decorated with the @post attribute because this method must be invoked for only post request. Okay. So here you can see the post comes from NestJS/common library. Since I have only one post method, right? So I no need to give extra path. Okay, post endpoint path. Okay, if I have multiple, we should specify definitely one method must contain the extra path. Okay, so by default, based on the request type, okay, the action method gets invoked. Now here what I can do, I simply return this dot employee service dot create method. So here we have to receive our payload, right? So from the body, request body, we have to read. So for that, we have to use @body. Okay, that also loads from the nest/common library. Okay, so I will name it like employee of employee. Okay, so we have to pass the payload to our service method. Okay, so that's it. Our HTTP post request. Okay. Now we have to consume this in our ReactJS application where we have to create a form. That form is for creating the new item. Okay, so let's jump into our React application. So now in our React application, let me create a new component. Okay, in that component we have to create the form. So go to pages folder and create a new component like add employee.js. So we know how to write component, right? Function. I'm using the arrow function, okay? And name of my component, add employee, okay? And for now, let's simply return imaginary tags, which is nothing but JSX, okay? And export default add employee. Okay, we are ready with our component. Now let's configure a route for this component. So we know in app component we are adding the routes, right? So here let's add one more child route element. Okay. And here I can specify path for my add employee component. So I will give a path like add employee. Okay. And we have to map the component for the element attribute. Okay. Okay, now let's get back to our add employee component. So first let's try to add the form. Okay. So let me add the container first. Okay. And class. I just want a margin top. Okay. And in that let me add a row, bootstrap row, and the column. So here I will give some styling like, so column name not imported, please import it. Okay, and call MD8, 8 columns. I want to display the form, and offset MD2 means on both sides I want to leave 2 columns as empty. That means I want to center my form. Okay, let's define the title with the legend element. Okay, add new employee data. This is my form. Okay, let's get the form controls from my React Bootstrap website. So here you can see on the React Bootstrap forms. Okay, so here let me copy one of the example. So let me copy this one of the form group element, sorry, controller. Okay, let me add it here and let me modify it. I don't want this form text, and I will name it. For now, remove it and remove the label. It should type should be text. So here this form control on rendering will render as a text box. Okay, it's a bootstrap control name, component name, but when it renders as a text box. Okay, and remove the placeholder. Since I have name, job role, and experience, right? 3 text fields I required. So just copy and duplicate it 2 more times. Okay, and I am using form, right? I have to import the form namespace. Okay, now here I will name, give control ID name. So this will be name of the employee, and it will be like job role. Okay, so job role. Okay, and this should be experience and experience. Okay, so this is my form. So now to read the form data for this demo, there are different ways for reading the form data. One of the best way is using the React hook forms. It is a third-party library. So, but I don't want to deviate completely from the simple CRUD operation. Instead of using that library, what I will do, I will simply use another way, that is one of the inbuilt React form hook, that is useref. Okay. So using that useref, I'm going to create a variables for each form control, nothing but a text box. Okay. So that I can map that variable with my form control. So I can have a control over this form control if I map it. Okay. So first let's declare the variables. So constant name, I mentioned user ref. So it is a inbuilt React hook. Okay. And constant job role. Okay. Constant experience. Okay. So these are the user of variables. Now I should map them to my text field. So to map them to the text field, we know form.control renders as a text field. So to map it, I have to use the attribute like ref and use expression flower brackets and pass the variable name. Okay, like that for three fields. So ref, it is for job role, right? So let me copy the variable name and assign it to here. Same way, ref experience. Okay. So now what we did means we are extracting the reference of this text field through this variable into our component. Okay. So from this I can prepare a payload to my HTTP post request. Okay. So now whenever user submits the form, we have to invoke a method that nothing but the handler, right? So first let me add a button here. So button like, so let's check whether button is imported or not. Button is imported. Okay. So variant primary. Okay. Type I want to use button. Okay. And on click. Okay. This is the event. To this event, I have to register a handler. Handler is nothing but the method in the component that gets executed whenever we click a button. Okay. Let me create the handler here. So constant add employee handler. Okay. Add employee handler and an arrow function. So this function I have to register to my button click event. Okay. So now here I have to invoke my API call. So before invoking API call, I have to prepare the payload. So where, let me use let payload. Okay. We know properties, right? I can copy it from here, exact names, because here I am binding, right? So copy them here. Okay, name I need, role I need. Okay, I'm just preparing the properties and the experience. Now to populate the form data into this payload object, what we can do means, so these are the user of variables, right? So these are mapped with our form control, nothing but on rendering it is a text field. So it will have control over the text field. So we can read the value, whatever the data user entered instead of the text field. Okay. So we can read like user of variable dot current dot value. So this will fetches the user entered form field value through this variable. Okay. Same way. So here variable is job role. So current dot value. And here experience I want it to be number. So I will convert it because by default current dot value will gives us only the string value. Okay. So job dot, sorry, experience dot current dot value. So now we have prepared the payload. Now we have to invoke the API call. So what I can do means Axios, okay, that imports the Axios library. Here you can see. So now it is time to invoke the HTTP post call. So for that Axios will have a default method like post. So this method invokes the HTTP post request. So here URL will be the same. So I will copy from my all employees component. Okay, copy this URL, add it here, and now we have to pass the second parameter as a payload. Okay, to this post method we should pass. Okay, so once success, I want to simply navigate back to my home page. Nothing but all employee components I want to navigate back. Okay, So to navigate back, I can use a variable I will declare like navigate, which is of type use navigate. So this use navigate come from the React router DOM. Okay. So now I can use this navigate variable for my redirection from one component to another component. Okay. So in this we should pass a input parameter. That input parameter nothing but the route value. Since our all employee is a home component, right? We have to specify simply slash. Slash means home page. Okay. So that's it. That is our most of the logic in our component. Okay. Save everything. So if everything good, the record must be added into our MongoDB. So now we have to navigate. Initially, we have to navigate from our all component home page to this newly added add employee form, right? So for that, we will add a button. So on button clicking from the all employee component to add employee component navigation logic, we will write. Okay. So for that, here let me add a row. Okay. And call, and let's check whether those are imported or not. Let me import the row. Okay. And let me add some styling. MD4 offset MD4. Okay. Now inside of this column, let me add my button. Okay. So let's check button imported or not. Imported. Fine. So variant equal to primary and type equal to button. So I have to write the on click. Okay. Now here it is a very simple logic I have to implement, right? Like navigating from this all employee component to add component. So I no need to create a additional handler here for implementing that single line of logic. So what I will do, I can directly write a arrow function here. Okay. So inside of this, we have to write whatever logic we want. So I want to navigation, right? So we know how to navigate, right? We just did in our add component. Same way here also, let declare a variable like navigate. Okay. Use navigate. Okay. And I can use this variable directly here in this arrow function. So I have specified, right? The input must be the path, URL path. So let me copy the path from here, app component. Okay. And add it here. Okay, that's it. Let's test whether we are able to create a new item or not. So first let's run our API project. So npm run start. And here we can see our NestJS application successfully running. Same way, let's run our React application also. So command is like npm run start. And here you can see our React application is running. And here you can see button. I forgot to give the button label. So let's go to my ReactJS application and give a button label like add new employee, and also check in add component there is a button, right? Submit button. There also we haven't given. Okay. Let's give label like add. Okay. Now let's go to our website. See, now we can see the add button here. If I click on it, I must go to add employee component where we have a form. So let's click it. And here we can see the form. So let me enter some data. Okay, new employee. Okay, so job is like associate React Dev. Okay, experience too. So before submitting, let me open the net developer tool to see the network call. Okay, and now click on add, and you see I navigated back to my home page, and you can see my new item. And if I go to my network calls, the first network call, which is the HTTP post call. Okay, here you can see request method and post, and you can see the payload, right? So that means we have successfully added our record and we navigated back to our home page. If you refresh also, the second record will be available. That is because our data is successfully saved into the MongoDB. Okay, so that's all about the create operation using NestJS and React application. Okay. Next, we are going to focus on update operation. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video delivered some useful content to you all. If you like the video, please do support me by liking my video as well as by subscribing to my channel. Soon we are going to meet with new videos. Until then, signing off.